Hey, appreciate you being a part of our daily devotions. Today, we're just going to take a few moments to talk about our character today, Samson. This is the same Samson that we all know. If you grew up in church, you know about his incredible strength and that God gave it to him, and it all was predicated on him not cutting his hair. So we know those stories as church people. But he used this strength throughout his life and even up to his death as he pushed the walls of the temple in on himself and other Philistines who were worshiping the Dagon god, and that was the temple that he destroyed. But Samson's stories are legendary, right? Some would say full of fables or certainly hyperbole. And stories like catching foxes and putting torches on their tails and having them run through the fields of the Philistines, burning them up, to catching a lion and killing that lion with his bare hands, or taking the jawbone from a donkey and using it as a weapon and killing 1,000 Philistines. These are stories that we understand could be maybe stretched a little bit, but whatever you think of Samson and his stories, the one thing that we maybe forget is that God set him apart from his beginning. This is this wonderful story of a couple who was dealing with infertility, and God approached them and said, "No worries, I am going to provide you with a son." In fact, we know the same story of another couple people. We know this of the parents of John the Baptist and the parents of Samuel as well. And God said, "I'm going to set this person aside as a Nazarite." And all the Nazarites were set aside in the Jewish community as being, they were defined by a few things. One was that obviously they were dedicated to God. Well, what did that look like? The one thing was they were not supposed to cut their hair. The second thing is that they would not come in close with anything that was unclean. And then lastly, they were supposed to abstain from alcohol. In Samson's case, he kind of blew it on some fronts there. And he wouldn't stick to his vows very well. But he did keep the one secret, if you will, about his hair and his strength. Those were tied together in a unique way. And God gave them his secret strength. And it was all exposed when Delilah came into the picture, who he loved. And he finally told her where his strength came from. And it was much to his undoing, as we know. But throughout his life, Samson was a violent guy, as we know. And he was taken by foreign women. And much like King Solomon was. But God often allowed Samson to use his strength to subdue his enemies. The one thing that we forget as well is that he was a judge. So he was probably a smart guy. At least he had some discernment to be able to lead the Jewish people. And throughout all this, he must have had cases before him where he had to walk through it and use wisdom. But here's some of the takeaways I see from Samson's life, some practical things we could take today. First is that God has a plan for all of us. He knit us perfectly in our mama's womb, long before anybody knew us. But God knew us. And just ruminate on that for a moment, that amidst the chaos and anything else in your life, just know that God has a wonderful plan for you. He knows your strengths and weaknesses. He knows who you are. And He chose to knit you together long before anybody else knew you. There is comfort and there is strength and there's hope in that. Secondly, that be careful of the secrets that you keep. Be careful of the secrets that you keep. Certainly those secrets that somebody instills in you for keeping a confidence, those are the ones that you are super careful with, and you make sure that you keep that in confidence. But I'm talking about the secrets that you keep, maybe the shame of a sin, or someone comes to you with a life-threatening issue, or it's detrimental to your health or somebody else's health, please, I beg you, bring that into somebody else's confidence and deal with it together as a group or as an individual, someone you trust that you can share those things with. Anyways, church, thank you so much for taking the time. I just hope this was encouraging to you, and we'll see you again real soon.